Hi, Nikki Wyatt, the Karma Coach, talking to you now about the inner child, or as I sometimes like to call it, the inner crash, because I don't think many of us get away with just one inner child. We've usually got so many parts of us in our childhood that had an issue that was never resolved at the time and lives on within us and can often be a trigger for unusual outbursts of anger or tears or something that's an overreaction to whatever is the current situation. And that will normally stem back to or stem from an unhealed childhood situation. And in some ways, coming to maturity as an adult, part of that is going back and retrieving these parts of yourself and finishing off that emotional business that was unfinished when you were a child, so that you can heal that and reintegrate those parts of yourself that perhaps when you were little, something happened and no one was there for you and no one showed you how to deal with your feelings. In fact, perhaps all they said to you was, cheer up, chin up, big boys don't cry, shove it all down. We can't cope with seeing your suffering and your pain. Obviously, unconscious a lot of the time. People mean well, but they don't often have the tools to know how to help you deal with your feelings when you're little. And therefore, in a way, our job is to go back and reparent those parts of ourselves and bring them back to wholeness, and to bring ourselves back to wholeness. So the inner child essence set is 36. So to make this manageable, I've divided it into three videos. So we're going to do 12 per video. And the first one I'm beginning with is acceptance. Inner child acceptance is really important because, let's face it, you can't what you can't accept and you can't see in yourself, you'll never be able to change. So the first thing we need to do if we're going to transform anything is to be able to see that we chose these life circumstances. We chose the people that are part of our family. We did that at a soul level for a reason, because we had lessons we want to learn in this lifetime. We might deeply regret that when we come into incarnation, but at some point we thought that this was a good decision. So now the first step, really, if we want to change, is to accept that that's what happened. We do have to stop resisting what is, because any resistance is just going to give us more suffering. And this essence will really help you to take a deep breath, stop avoiding things, accept that things are the way they are. And at that point, the magic kind of happens, because then you can attract something new. Things will stop being Groundhog Day and you will be able to actually change things. Um, and that's particularly, I would say, reach for this one if you're feeling particularly in victim consciousness, if it's everyone else's fault, if you're feeling simmering resentment at people and circumstances and life, then this is a really good one, because it stops you seeing the problem out there and helps you to start looking at the problem within you, that you would need to solve. And then all that help that you need to do that will arrive. But first of all, we have to accept it's there. The next one is balance. Balance is a good one if you have a lot of emotional ups and downs. This, if you're feeling indecisive, restless, agitated, you think you're a little bit ADHD, maybe your mind's always overstimulated, it never stops whirring round and round, and you just can't get still and focused, then these are usually symptoms of an unbalanced solar plexus. Solar plexus is where we tend to keep our emotional brain, and certainly our childhood emotions live in that part of our body, and anything that's needs healing is going to be felt in that place. So if you are feeling these kind of states, then balance is going to help you. The balance essence is going to help to align your solar plexus with your third eye or your brow chakra. And that means that you start to get a clearer vision of what is actually going on emotionally within you. You'll start to be able to trace back where these feelings are coming from and these states are coming from. You'll start to feel more in control emotionally, and you'll get a lot more mental clarity. It's also very helpful if you know that you are quite a sensitive person, that you've probably got some untapped psychic gifts or gifts you want to develop more, because as you as this essence aligns your emotional state with your brow and your third eye chakra, you will be able to get a much better and clearer inner vision as well, of what's really going on. The next one is Be Here Now, it's called. And this is about when the fact that when we're children and something difficult happens, and even when we're adults, to be honest, we will often react by, I mean, therapeutically speaking, disassociating. If we're talking energetically, probably more, you will leave your body. You will go off and kind of observe or witness what's happening, because it's too difficult to stay embodied when something very emotionally or physically painful is happening, which is pretty frightening for your body to be abandoned if you think about it. And we can't actually heal what happened, until we can allow ourselves to get back into our body and at the same time remember what happened. And this essence is what's going to help you do that, because it will help you feel safe enough to go back into your body and still have that experience within you. And as you do that, it will be able to then release itself, because, as the saying goes, you cannot heal what you cannot feel. But in that moment, if you can allow yourself to feel the feelings you couldn't feel back then, whenever it happened, it will, that's all your feelings need. They just want to be felt, and then they will be able to leave. So this is not, even if you've been avoiding this for 20, 30 years, it's still, it can feel really intense, but actually in the moment you release it, it takes a moment, and then you look back and think, I wish I'd released that 30 years ago. It really didn't take very long. That was an ad break. I know I've done that with a few things myself. The next one is birth in a child essence. This is, as it rather suggests, it releases trauma around your birth. And, let's face it, one minute we're all safe and warm and lovely and being looked after inside our mother's womb, and the next minute we're going on this really quite tricky journey out into the big wide world. It might be painful, it might be even life-threatening. And then when we get there, someone smacks us. It's, bright lights and lots of people and things going on, and it's pretty frightening. So birth, can be quite tricky, and leave us with a lot of memories that we probably, well, we can't express because we're not verbal at that point, but they are within our body and they are there. And those memories can be released through taking the birth in a child essence. And they are really good if you know that you've had a difficult birth. Like, for example, I don't know, your mum hemorrhaged or something, or had to be whipped back into theatre for some reason, and you didn't get to spend any time with her, or you were put in an incubator immediately because you had something wrong. So there wasn't that contact and that bond. Or there was something difficult about your birth. Maybe you had your cord wrapped around your neck or something. Any of these situations, really good to take birth essence. And even, if you happen to, if there is a newborn baby that you're around who did have a difficult birth, you can just put a little drop of this essence on their feet or on their pulse points, and it will really help to release anything from their body that they're holding on to, and that's not helpful. The next one is courage. Courage in a child essence is all about helping to clear fear, especially karmic fear and including ancestral fear, things that get passed down to us. Because, as I'm sure you'll know, some of you come in with fear that really can't be explained, like, I don't know, fear of heights or fear of wheat fields, or fear of spiders, who knows, that probably come from past lives. And this will help to go down to that deep cellular level and release the fear. It's also a good one to take for, you might know that your caregivers are quite anxious people, and often, especially if you're an oldest child, so your parents have never had children before, and you arrived, and then they were probably fairly scared. Children don't come with a manual, and they might have slightly overdone the kind of, stranger danger and be careful, and the outside world's a dangerous place, which can make us quite hypervigilant. So, and then we don't have the courage to do things and take risks that actually we need to take to gain confidence to be in the world and to do the things we want to do. So if you know that's you, I would take courage essence, and also consider it if you find one of your triggers tends to bring up anger or guilt, because those are both secondary emotions, as you probably know. Um, the primary emotions are fear and love. All emotions are based on one of those. And anger and guilt are both based on fear, fear of something, fear of abandonment, fear of failing, fear of being judged, whatever it might be. So if you also your triggers involve those sort of emotions, I would consider taking courage. The next one that's in the list is decisive. It's an inner child essence, which is all about when we're self-doubting, where we don't trust our judgment anymore. We've lost faith in our ability to make good decisions. And this might be, well, it usually comes from the fact we've disconnected from our intuition. We've lost faith in that. And our intuition comes from being in connection with our higher self and our also to some degree actually our feminine energy. Um, the the essence decisive will help you to follow what feels right in your heart, and to put your ego to one side and detach also from needing any particular outcome from your decision, and just accept that this is going to be for the highest good of all. Whatever it looks like when you've made that decision is actually for your divine good, and it will work itself out. It might not be what you were expecting, but it will be what you need. And this essence will also help you to find that calm space within you where you can drop into your heart and find your heart's wisdom and be confident in it. The next one is one of my favorites. It's called Delight in a Child Essence. If you have any tendency towards being over serious, being overworking, or feeling a bit bleak, a bit pessimistic about life, and it's just not going to get better, and negative, negative, then this is a great one to take because it really helps you lighten up. It helps you, if you're having a bit of a sense of humor failure, it can be great for restoring your sense of humor and a feeling of playfulness. And it also brings back that childlike sense of wonder, because we all have the magical child within us, which, delights in things. Oh, the first time you see a bubble, oh, wow. These wonderful things that's why a lot of people love being around young children, because to them it is all wonderful and amazing and magical. And this will bring back that sense of magic to you and help you have a lot more fun and be more spontaneous. The next one is faith. Faith is in a child essence is well, when we have built up too many barriers around our heart. Because when we come in as children, we do trust our intuition, we trust uh, our life and the universe to support us and keep us safe. But unfortunately, the knocks start to come fairly early on, usually in our life. We might have our parents might divorce, our beloved pet might die. Something might happen that really upsets us and is very wounding, and we don't know how to deal with that. And if we don't have people around to show us how to deal with that or to hold a safe space for us to express it and feel it, then that's going to become a wound around our heart and somewhere that we will guard. And as we do this, um, we will find that we keep reinforcing that sense of, yeah, well, there you go again, more pain, life's just suffering, and then you die. Um, so this is if you are in that frame of mind and you notice that you are easily triggered into that state, then take faith essence because it will restore trust to your heart, and help to get into that kind of no man's land that otherwise gets created around your heart, and allow you to open up to the support of the universe and friendship and love that is all there for you if you can allow it in. The next one is called Family, Clearing and Releasing Inherited Patterns. It's one I work with a great deal because I work so much with ancestral patterning. It's something I really enjoy, and something that if you know it's something that is very much in play for you, then I would strongly suggest something called family constellations if you haven't already tried it. With a really good facilitator, you can really clear and identify patterns that have been handed down to you through the generations. And in this case, you are looking back with the family essence at events that have come down to you from even a very long way back in our bloodline. Um, Remembering that certainly in the West, now things that we might be much more tolerant of, we were not generations ago. There may be things that happened in your family where somebody had a child out of wedlock, or a termination, or they were homosexual, or they were put into a mental asylum, um, or they were of a different, they married outside the religion or the ethnicity of your family. All these things could have really impacted their ability to belong in your family system. And if that's the case, then you may also be mimicking that now and mirroring that fate for them by not belonging in your own family for whatever reason. Um, and this essence will really help to bring in the power of love to heal that ancestral bloodline. And show you also, bring it into your awareness what is going on that needs healing in your ancestral line. The next one is father. Father, as it suggests, is about your relationship with your father, but also your relationship with your own masculine energy. If that's out of whack, you'll probably find there are quite a lot of things you can't achieve in life, because if you're not able to express your masculine energy in a positive way and you judge it, there are lots of things that don't end up happening. You need that masculine energy to make things happen and take action. So this essence will help you to develop love and forgiveness, both for the relationship with your father figure in your life, with the masculine energy around you, and with your own masculine energy, and allow you to embody that without judgment and with gratitude and thankfulness that it's there and helping you to achieve things in life. The next one is forgiveness, inner child forgiveness, which is obviously a really important one, because when we don't forgive, we keep ourselves trapped. We sit with this thing where we were wronged and we were the victim, and we keep it within us, and we get it out every so often and reflect on how wronged we were. And all of this keeps you pretty stuck. That it's not something you want to be carrying around with you. It's very negative energy. Yes, it's awful that it happened, but it's not something that is going to help you if you aren't going to be able to deal with it and release it. It'll simply keep you in a kind of prison. So when you take forgiveness essence, you will find that it will open up your heart chakra, because that's where we need to forgive, and start to release the judgment that we're holding. And often the worst bit of the judgment is often not about what other people did, but it's often where we are judging ourselves for something we did that we feel is unspeakable or unforgivable, and or shameful or humiliating or whatever it might be. So being able to release ourselves from the prison of our own judgment is also incredibly helpful and very, very freeing. So this is definitely a really important essence to consider. And finally, in this first 12, that we are looking at inner child freedom, which is all about letting go of control. And let's face it, it's one of the most common patterns most of us have. Life can feel fearful, chaotic. Other people aren't doing what we want them to do. We can't seem to control anything, from the weather to our health to our exam results. It's just, um, and the more we try to control those things, the worse we feel. And yet we're often brought up with parents who have that same pattern of trying desperately to control situations and feelings and reactions and consequences. And so we think that's how it should be. But actually, it's what gets most in the way of us being our true selves. because the more we try and control ourselves and the people around us and circumstances, the more we tend to, really make people around us pretty fed up and resentful and feel they might feel used or manipulated. And we don't then feel great about ourselves either. It's not a very lovely way to connect with other people, to try and control them. And um, it's often about when we have this pattern of needing to control, we often have the other pattern within us of judging ourselves and criticizing ourselves, and we're trying to kind of avoid seeing that by trying to control everything. So if everything outside is all right, then we're all right within ourselves. But actually, being able to let go and trust that everything's okay, and we can't control other events outside ourselves. We can only control our responses to them. And as Dr. Bach mentioned, which I do like this quote, he says, "Give others their freedom, and then you gain your own." And that is a real truth, because beneath the pattern of needing to control is a tremendous fear and insecurity. So when you take this essence and you are able to not to feel much more secure in yourself, then you will be able to relax and to be yourself with people. You'll become more authentic. You'll stop, because you stop controlling other people. They'll be more empowered. They'll be able to be more their true selves, which means that you're relating between your true self and authentic self to their true self and authentic self. And your relationships will be much stronger, much more honest, much more real, and much more delightful, to be honest. Much more relationships you can really depend upon, really strong, because you're not trying to hide anything from each other, and you're just being yourself. So a lovely one, that, relate to that. And that is the end of this first video. If any of those have struck a chord with you, you're welcome to explore further through the link below. And there is also a discount code there. You'll also find a link to Crystal Herbs, which offers the inner child essences, even though they are through Golden Ray originally. And I hope you enjoy it. If you have, then there will be another two videos coming. So do move on to them when you're ready. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Bye.